and how to get a hold of them for help. Blake, would you like to say anything about the CAE?
Sure. Thanks, Anna. I'm Blake Thurston. I'm our writing tutor here at the Center for Academic Excellence. And we just want everybody to know that you can come and talk to a writing tutor at any stage in your process. A lot of people think they have to bring a finished product, but really it's best to come early in your process when you're just getting started, even if you're brainstorming ideas. I like to say every writer needs a reader. It just helps the process be more efficient. It will save you time, save you energy. Come see a tutor and we'll talk about what your writing is. And then obviously in your research, your first stop is going to be with the librarians, and watching this webinar is a good start today. So welcome.
Thank you, Blake. And thanks for having us and coming to us with this idea for a webinar. We appreciate it. Okay. So our topic today is getting unstuck during research. We're going to go over a few tips on how to fine-tune your research topic, ways to search that will help you find more articles or fewer articles if you have too many, and different tips and suggestions along the way to make research an easier process for you. So we're going to start with the poll. And just going to do that. We can all answer this if you want. So first off is, how comfortable do you feel with your research skills? Very comfortable. I'm okay with most of it. I'm here for help. I came here for a reason. I need lots of help. Okay. Okay. So this would kind of look at the examples. Looks like we're pretty okay with our research skills, but there's a good reason, we all need a little help sometimes. And that's why we're here today. So I'm going to stop sharing this. We have another poll. So how comfortable do you feel using the library website to search for sources? Okay, so here are some results that we have for our poll. Looks like we have a couple different comfort levels, which is totally fine. Okay. Thank you for answering those questions. And so we get a feel of what you need. If it's okay with you, for a quick refresher, we can do that really fast if you like. Liz, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, Anna, why don't you go ahead and minimize the presentation, and we can just kind of go through how to get to the library website for My Ivy.
Yeah.
And generally, we recommend going through My Ivy to get to the library website, largely because we have a lot of databases and things the library has to pay for, and it's all based on the number of students we have using it. And so that means, just in order for you to get access to it, if you sign into My Ivy, our resources recognize you as a student so that you can get into everything. And so once you get into My Ivy, Anna will show you how to get to the library. You just search for the library up to the top. You're going to see two different results come up. One's going to be library. That's going to be our Fort Wayne library. And the other is going to be library statewide. The library statewide has a huge variety of resources that you can use, and you're welcome to go use those resources. Our Fort Wayne library website will have all of those resources, but it also has some additional resources that we only have access to here in Fort Wayne. So we usually recommend that you go to our Fort Wayne library website, and you can always click the little heart at the other side of the entry to favorite the library, and that way it shows up right there on your main screen of My Ivy, so you have it favorited.
So we can click
Yep. Once you click, it's going to take you to our library website. And we have a huge number of things that you can use to research. We've got our Discover search right there at the front. Ivy Cat right underneath that search box is going to search our books and ebooks. And then a little bit further down the page, we do have our A to Z resources. And that'll take you to a huge list of all of our databases so that you can go through and pick and choose which ones you want to search specifically. Okay. And we're not going to do too much specific searching today until maybe the end of this presentation, because we really want to focus on some of the different search techniques that you can use when you're using these resources. And of course, anytime you need help with any of this, you can send us a question through Ask a Librarian, or you can set up a time to meet with a librarian and we can meet with you either in person or on Zoom. And we have a lot of different guides and resources on our website that are available for use too.
Yeah, we have quite a few helpful stuff on our website. We can talk about that at the end as well. And throughout our presentation, we'll reference some of the sources to kind of help us get a base of our research, and we'll reference those back to those. So we might see this page again, so we can come back to that as needed. So I think I'm going to go ahead and start. Slideshow. Okay. So I think we should start at the very beginning, which is background information. We want to just, you may have already done this in a way, but if you feel like you're stuck and you're needing a way to get out of that, maybe you could go back and do this process again, see what you've come up with, and maybe choose another topic with this technique. So I would suggest doing background information reading. Either see what's on your textbook, what you've read in class, what you've talked about in class, what topics come up a lot, what topics intrigue you, what do you feel like you could spend time searching and learning about. That background information will really help you understand what's written about the topic, more information about how you can narrow down that topic from a really broad one to a smaller one. Yes, Blake, I see your hand is raised.
I just wanted to add that I've had several students come in and they're having difficulty log into their ebooks, and it's perfectly all right if you want to come and drop by our lab at caeivy.com. We can walk you through getting into your textbook. A lot of resources, a lot of professors want you to start, like Anna said, start in your textbook and then get other sources. So definitely if you're having an issue logging into your textbook in your online class, or in your class if it's just online, come and see us and we can walk you through that. No worries.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Blake. Yeah, textbooks are really a great source. You can tie your research in with the information in your textbook. It's just a wonderful circle there. Another way to find background information is with Google, with the internet, and with Wikipedia. And we say with caution here because it should really just be a way for you to learn a little bit more. So then you can use the sources that are on our website or other sources that are of quality and are scholarly. Just a heads up. I use it a lot to kind of define words that I don't understand, or kind of get a feel of like a really general background information that way. We have a few library databases that we also suggest. We have on the A to Z list that we showed earlier. It's alphabetized by A to Z, and we can go through this again at the end if we have time. But Opposing Viewpoints shows a lot of different information on really popular, maybe sometimes controversial topics, well popularly discussed topics, and it has some really good background information there on those main topics. The same with Issues and Controversies, has a similar layout and really good background information there on more popular topics. And then we have a Credo reference, which is almost like an encyclopedia. So if you're looking for a really trustworthy standard encyclopedia, Credo reference can be that for you. And so we've moved on, we've had our background information. We feel pretty good about, maybe we've picked a topic and we need to narrow it down a bit. We have a really good idea of the really broad things we want to discuss, but how do we narrow it down so that we don't just get, if we type in one word into the search, we get thousands and thousands of results for articles. How do we narrow that down? We have some suggestions. You could ask yourself a couple of these questions. All of these topics, the questions won't apply to all of your topics. So some may apply to other fields like history or literature more than maybe science or math. But some things you can think about are, is there a specific part that I want to focus on? Is there a cause and effect that I can explore? From my research, the background information that I've read, is there an unanswered question on the subject? Is there something that I've not learned or that others haven't learned yet that I can think about? And also, is there a specific time period? Is there a group of people or a place within the topic? That's usually good for, the last one is usually good for history or anything that can be discussed within time or place. So with those in mind, just to show an example of how to narrow down your topic. So we have a topic of bullying, which is really large, right? Bullying could be in person, it could be cyberbullying, it could be with anybody, between anybody else. So how do we narrow that down? Using those examples that we talked about before, maybe we choose a place in mind where bullying happens, bullying in schools. So that right now our topic is pretty good, bullying in schools. We have a place and we have a subject too. And then we have bullying at maybe schools is too broad as well. So we want to narrow that down as well. So bullying in elementary schools instead of high schools or college or online. So bullying in elementary schools is our next more narrow topic. And that pulls up, we've searched that using those key terms. Maybe that gives us too much results. Maybe we're interested in laws and policies and how those affect students or how they affect bullying. So laws about bullying in elementary schools. So these, from the very broad to the more narrow, doing this will kind of help us not just focus our research, but also give us keywords that we can use to search.
And these keywords, so when we do searching in a database, we need to break our question down into keywords. So we had a nice phrase there, laws about bullying in elementary schools. And you can go and type an entire question into Google and you usually get several responses, answers back and resources from that. However, when you try to type an entire question like that into one of our research databases, it tends to get hung up on all the little words of the question and doesn't always bring back what you're looking for. So instead, we're going to break our search into keywords. You're going to choose 2 to 3 words, maybe some short phrases that express your topic. And we'll talk a little bit more about this brainstorming in a few slides. But you're going to be thinking of synonyms or similar ideas to go with your topic. You can pull these words from all that background information you had before. So maybe you found a website when you were doing your web searching, and you found some really good vocabulary words to go with your topic. You might not want to use that website for your research because you don't know how reliable it is, but you can use the vocabulary you learned from that website to come into a database and search for articles. Okay. And then once you get in and start searching for the articles, you'll see that they all have subject headings or subject terms with them that talk about the topics in those articles. And so you can use those words to adjust your keywords and modify your search even further until you get to exactly what you want to find. So here's kind of the way that works. We've got our research question. Are there any laws about bullying in elementary schools? Okay, so from there, I take my key ideas or my keywords. I've got laws, bullying, elementary schools. Okay, much shorter phrases than what my entire question is. From there, I want to make sure I'm pulling in all of the similar ideas or synonyms, because I might search for laws, and then there's this great article that talks about policies and never actually uses the word laws. So I want to make sure those get pulled in too. Okay, so just as an example, for laws, I've got policies or prevention. Okay, and you may not think of synonyms for every part of your topic either. And you can see I struggled a little bit with bullying, but I thought, teasing might come into play a little bit there too. And then finally, elementary schools, I can talk about primary schools. They're called that some places. I may just talk about education or early education to pull all of those keywords and ideas into my search. Anna, sweetie, you're muted.
Yep. Okay, we have those awesome keywords. And we use the discovery search or one of our databases. We put those into one of those databases and we search, but we don't find enough articles. Okay, and what do? Well, the first thing we could do is broaden our topic. I know, wait, you just said we should narrow it down. I don't understand. This is back and forth. So that's just sometimes you have to kind of go backwards a little bit to make progress. So broadening your topic maybe just means not including every single keyword that you have, maybe using a couple of the keywords, the main points. So for example, with the bullying and elementary schools, maybe just using bullying elementary schools instead of laws. Maybe, not to say that there aren't laws about them, but maybe the focus is more on just bullying in elementary schools, maybe finding more articles that way. Broadening your topic a little further out can give you some more results that way. Is your topic too new or too obscure? So for example, if you were wanting to do research on the most up-to-date current trend or a news event that just happened a couple days ago, or even like a major event like the war in Ukraine right now, it'll take a while for that to filter down through the information cycle, and for scholars to write scholarly articles about it. So you may find news information about it, but scholars won't really have, that information ready in scholarly form for a couple months and sometimes years. That's just something to think about. And topics that come up and you want to research them, maybe think about, is this too new or too obscure? And that's maybe why I'm not getting enough articles. Another thing to do is broaden your keyword search with OR. So Liz talked about some great keyword synonyms, and using OR with those synonyms will broaden your search that way. So they'll search both of them at the same time. And that's why we suggest thinking of some synonyms to use so that you can use those with OR. And we'll talk about OR again later on to kind of in a more detailed way. But another way to find more articles is to look in the footnotes and bibliography section of your articles that you do find. And it's okay if you find an article and it's just useful for the works cited or the bibliography section. And those can really lead you to things that other folks have said about this issue, things that the writer of the article thought was important enough to cite. And that's a great way, a great little tip to get more articles really easily. And another way we suggest is really searching more than one database at a time. And with Discover Search is that main box. I think we have a picture of it. This main box on the library website, it's all in green, and this searches across a number of our databases, as well as our ebooks and our physical books. So you can get a really, really broad search that way. And we also have another search, similar database setup that does this called EBSCO, and that is in our A to Z list that we showed earlier. And EBSCO lets you choose the databases that you want to search. You can search multiple different subjects of databases at a time. So those are just two ways to kind of use the tools that we have to your advantage.
Okay, and sometimes you have the opposite problem. Sometimes you'll find you're getting too many articles. So that we've also got ways to kind of narrow down our search. And the first of those ways is going to be using and not, and then additional keywords. So just kind of like we used or to connect the same kinds of ideas, we're going to use and or not to connect different ideas. And is going to let us search two different ideas together, and it's only going to show us articles if both of those ideas are in the article. And not actually lets us throw some things out of our search. So maybe as I'm searching for bullying, I'm getting a whole bunch of articles about cyberbullying, and that's not really the focus of my paper. Okay, I want to focus on just in-person bullying. So I might say not cyberbullying to just kind of pull those resources out of my search. Okay, next, we can also refine our results with limiters. Limiters are filters that you find on the search results page in a database, and they let you narrow your results down. They may let you say, hey, I only want to see scholarly articles, or I only want to see articles that have been published in the last 5 years, similar to that. And so you can go through those limiters. There's a whole bunch of them to explore, and use those limiters to narrow your search down further so you don't have so many articles to go through. The next thing you can do is use specialized databases or journals. So we were talking about Discover and EBSCOhost, which let you search a whole bunch of databases at once, but those can sometimes bring back too many articles and maybe even irrelevant articles. If instead you go through and use an education database or a psychology database for our cyberbullying topic, or any other database that's related to a topic you've chosen, that way you can kind of narrow down the number of results you're finding. And the last thing you can do is, if you've gotten some articles, go through what you have already and think about, do you really need more? And if you realize, hey, I've got a lot of good information, but I'm missing some information on this specific part, fix your search to focus on that part. Or maybe you can go through what you have and realize, hey, I have plenty and I don't need any more. And then you're all set and you don't even need to do further searching. And this is just kind of a visual view of these and, or, and not terms that we're using. Okay, so in the first case, we're using and. All right, so my first circle represents bullying. My second circle represents schools. And the part where they overlap, that green section, represents bullying and schools. So when I do bullying and schools, I'm not finding articles that just talk about bullying or just talk about schools. Both of those words have to be in the article or it will not be in my search results. Okay, so you can see how and is going to make our search a bit smaller. Or on the other hand, in the middle, connects words that are similar, okay, but may not both be talked about in the same article. So my first circle is all of the articles about laws. My second circle is all of the articles about policies. And of course, there is an overlap where both words are there. And if I use or, all of those articles are going to show up for me, whether it says laws, whether it says policies, or whether it says both terms. Okay. And then finally, we can use not as well, which is what we just talked about. You know, I've got bullying, my bullying circle, I've got my cyberbullying circle. I don't want anything about cyberbullying, whether it overlaps with bullying or not. So I say bullying, not cyberbullying on my search terms. And you'll notice I put quotation marks around cyberbullying. We'll talk about that here in just a minute, okay? But this kind of gives you a way to throw those words out.
Okay. There might come a time when you need, and you're looking for a specific article. You found maybe in a list of your readings or in a bibliography that you want to check out. You think you have a title and you have an author, you have all the information. Like, how do you search for that? Well, we suggest starting in Discover. You can search in Discover, the green box at the front page of our library website. You search the entire title. And if you're able to find it there, great, because we might have it. Another thing we suggest doing if we don't have it is to try in Google Scholar. And Google Scholar has lots of free scholarly sources that are peer-reviewed. We do suggest checking out and making sure it is peer-reviewed, but that's another great way to find a really specific article that maybe we don't have access to in Discover or in our library setting. And then if you're not able to find it there, you don't have to pay for it, okay? But don't worry, if you find it online and it says you have to pay for it, come back to us and ask us in our request materials section. And we'll show you where that is. And so that is under services and then request materials. You fill out this form with as much information as you can about the article that you need. Your information goes at the top and the information about the article goes at the bottom. And that way we'll get that request and we'll ask around the state to other academic libraries to see if we can borrow that article, or they'll send us a copy and then we'll send that copy to you. So if you see you hit a paywall, come back to us under services and request materials and we can get that article for you. All right.
Okay, and here's just a few more tips to help with the searching. When you get going and you're trying to get to where you want to be, there's still some other techniques that you can use. The first is truncation. Truncation uses either an asterisk or a question mark, depending on the database, and it lets you find words that have the same beginning and different endings. All right. So just as an example, I've got educate, all right, with an asterisk where you would normally see the E. Okay. If I put that into a search box, it's going to look for educate, education, educators, anything that starts with that educat, and then any ending that can come after it. Okay. The next one is phrase quotations. And this is what you saw back with the cyberbullying. And I have another example here, elementary school. If you have a phrase that you want to search together, you can put quotation marks around it. And that kind of holds the words together so that as it's going through, the database is looking through articles, it wants to find both of those words together instead of randomly separate throughout the article. Normally, it might find elementary in one part of the article and school in another. And that might be something you're looking for, but you also may just want to focus on just elementary school specifically in that order and phrase that way. Okay. And then some other things to keep in mind are you probably won't find the perfect source. Okay. You are not going to find one article that makes your entire argument for you. That's your job as the student, as the researcher, okay? You're going to find multiple articles that have different ideas in them. You might be connecting those articles to what you read in class or what you've learned so far. And then between those different articles and your prior knowledge, you're going to bring it all together to come up with your own ideas for your paper. And you're reflecting on what you found to write your entire assignment. Okay, so don't get distressed if you're not finding an article that says exactly what you want to say. Find multiple articles and bring them together and figure out how to make them work together to say what you want to say. Okay, and some tips you can use, you can read as you search, read the articles as you're finding them, take notes as you read the articles, write little bits of pieces down that help out with your assignment. Okay, and of course, every time you write something down, make sure you write down where you found it so you're ready for those citations. Okay, and then from those notes, you can write your paper. And this is a technique that will also help you avoid plagiarism because as you're noting things down and then turning those notes into your paper, you're generating some of your own ideas, okay, and adding citations. Yes, Blake.
I think these are excellent points. And I just wanted to add that so often students go, well, where is my point? Where is my voice? And they're not quite sure what they're saying is, or where is my argument. And it really is this intersection between all of the sources and, what does the student see happening between them is where they can step in. Because if as an undergrad, you're usually not at the stage where you're doing your own research and taking polls or scientific data. So this is a way to have your own voice, is to look at where the sources are and then to see, well, what do you see when you have them all together? So I think I get that question a lot. So
yeah. And the library and CAE work really well together to help with you guys with this, because you can come to the library and we can help you find articles related to your topic. And then if you're struggling to put it all together, CAE is great for helping you put it together and write your paper as you get through it. Okay. And then also keep in mind, it is okay to change or alter your topic. You may have this great idea and think, I want to research this specific thing. And then as you start looking, you're finding, well, there's not a whole lot of information to support it, or, oh, I guess it's too new and there's not a whole lot of research yet, things like that. And so you can always go back and say, okay, my topic needs to be bigger. I need more to search for, or I'm getting too much and my topic needs to be smaller. And you can change your topic. Now, keep in mind, if it's a topic that your instructor approved, you may need to go back and talk to your instructor to make sure it's okay, or talk about how and why you need to change your topic. But it's an okay thing to do, and it can help you continue to move forward with your research.
We just want to say again that we are here to help in any part of the process of researching, from narrowing down a topic to finding the very last source that you need. From the library's website, we just want to point out that clicking the click here for online support will take you to information on how to contact us. There's a form you can fill out that will email us, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. There's also our phone number. There's also an opportunity to chat with us in real time, and also to fill out a form to meet with us one-on-one for further research help. So we're here to help, and we love getting into the nitty-gritty of research. So we'd like to do that if you need help with that. And finally, if you guys have any tips or on what works for you when you're stuck during research, or if you have any questions, do you have a current upcoming research topic that you'd like help with? We have time to help with that right now, and we're going to stop the recording so that we can answer those questions.